Hi students, coming to our next topic in the subject object-oriented programming language is constructors. So what is a constructor? Actually it is a special function that has function name same as class name. So whatever the class name is same as the constructor name. So that's why we call it as a special function. So constructor is a special function, okay, because the class name is same as the constructor name. Actually it is used, why we are using the constructors? It is used to construct and initialize all the data members. Okay, so that's why we call it as a constructor. Means we are constructing that. What we are constructing? We are constructing the data members. So it is used to construct and initialize all the data members, means the variables. So whatever you are using in the program, the data members that you are constructing, means you are declaring and you are initializing, that you call it as a constructor. So the constructor name, that is a function name, is same as the class name. So that is, it's the speciality of the constructors. It is automatically called when an object is created. Okay, so automatically called, the constructors will automatically called. When they called? When an object is created. When object is created. So they have no parameters and they have no written values. Okay, so that is a constructors. So let us see what is how this constructor program. Okay, so suppose the class A. So here the A is the class name, int x is the data members, public. So public A. So here this is the constructor. This is the constructor. Did you observe that here the class name is same as the constructor name? So whatever the data functions that we are using, that will be declared as a public. So that's why public A, okay, with no parameters. So this is a constructor. So constructor can be defined either inside the class definition or outside the class definition. Okay, that means a constructor can be defined inside the class definition or outside the class definition. So you can define inside the class definition, or you can call it as outside the class definition with the help of a class name. Okay, how you'll call that? Let us see. Class A. Okay, so int I is the variable, public. So A, this is, here I declare the constructor. Declare constructor. Okay, so this is inside. So I declare the constructor. Now I am calling the constructor outside the class definition. How I can call? With the class name. A is the class name and scope resolution operator. So if you want the call the constructor or if any function outside the class definition, you have to use the scope resolution operator. Okay, so A is the class name, scope resolution operator and the constructor. So this is here you can write the constructor definition, means you can initialize the values and you can write the function, what method you have to perform in the constructor. So A is the class name and this is the constructor name. Here I am setting the value I is equal to 1. Okay, so this is the way you can write the constructor. So constructor is just a function Okay, it's the main speciality about this is the same, the class name is same as the constructor name. Okay, so this will be automatically called when an object is created. So they have no any they have any number of parameters, means you can add, they have any number of parameters. So now let us see the different types of constructors. Actually there are 3 different types of constructors will be there. So 3 different types of constructors are present. So let us see what are there. So the first one is default constructor. Default constructor. So what we call this default constructor? A default constructor is nothing but a constructor with no parameters. Constructor with no parameters, you call it as a default constructor. Means the parameters will be supplied at the time of the compilation. So example, let us see the example for this. Then you will understand what is the what is the default constructor. So here the default constructor means constructor with no parameters. So here the class name. Okay. So let us take the example class cube. So cube is the class name. Now int side is the data member with the data type int public. Now I am declaring the constructor, that is the cube. See here, with constructor with no parameters. So this is the constructor with no parameters. Inside the constructor I am writing the value, the side is equal to 10. Close the constructor and close the class. So this is the class. Now call the main function now. So how I will call? Just int main. So first it enter into a main program. After that it is calling the functions. So here cube C. So I declare an object C. Okay, cube is the class name and C is the object. So with the help of this I am calling this constructor. With the help of the object I am calling the constructor. So just C out C dot side. Okay, so first the program enters here, it reads cube C. So cube is the class which there and C is the object. So with the help of the object I am calling the constructor. So that is a C dot side. So what will be the output? Here the output will be 10. So C dot side, what is the side value? 10. So the output is 10. So this is the default constructor. Constructor with no parameters, without no parameters. Here no parameters are there. So that is default constructor. So in this case, as soon as the object is created, the constructor is called, which initializes its data member. Okay. So as soon as the object is created, a constructor is called. So defaultly, whenever the object is created, you can call the constructor. So which initializes its data members. Now let us see the second one. So what is the second one? The second type of constructor is parameterized constructor. Parameterized constructor. So what is this parameterized constructor? Actually, a constructor with parameters that are used for initializing data members, you call it as parameter. Default constructor means with no parameters. Parameterized constructor means with parameters. So constructor with parameters that are used for, when we can use these parameters, that are used for initializing data members. That you call it as a parameterized constructors. Let us see the example, then you understand. Example for the parameterized constructor means the constructor with arguments, with parameters. So here the class, again we take the cube, class cube, public, so inside is the data members. Now coming to constructor cube int x. So here I am using the arguments, here I am using the parameters. So constructor with parameters, you call it as a parameterized constructor. So in the previous example, I didn't use any arguments, I didn't use any parameters. So that's why it is a default constructor. Constructor with no parameters, you call it as a default constructor. And constructor with parameters is parameterized constructor. So int x, now side is equal to x and the class. Now write the main program. Int main. So now you call the constructor by using the class name cube. Let us C1 is the object with value. Cube C2 with value. Cube C3 with value. Okay. So now print these values. Cout, C1 dot side, Cout. I'm just printing the values. C2 dot side, Cout, C3 dot side. Okay. So here I'm just calling the constructor. So the constructor here I declared already, it is a constructor with parameters. So that is the data type int. So I'm calling this cube is a class name and C1 is the object. With the object I'm just calling the constructor. So in the previous I already said as soon as the object is created, the constructor is called, which initializes the data members. So just it calling this side is equal to x. So here the x value is 10. So if it is C2 20, if x is 20, side is 20. If x is 30, side is 30. So here the output is, what will be the output for this? Output is 10, 20, 30. Okay. So this is the second type of constructor, that is a parameterized constructor. Now let us see the third type. The third type of constructor is, so this is a copy constructor. So far we discussed the default constructor, parameterized constructor and the copy constructor. So what is a copy constructor? A copy constructor used when one object of class initialize when one object of class initialize the other object, it takes reference to an object of the same class as an argument, of the same class as an argument. So here just copy constructor means one object of class will be initialized to the other object, just initializing one class object to the another class. So it takes reference to an object of the same class as an argument. So let us see the example of the copy constructor. So example for this is just class copycon. Copycon is a constructor, means a class name I am taking as a copycon. Int a comma b. So public. Now call the copycon a constructor with arguments int x comma int y. Now a is equal to x, b is equal to y, and here the cout is means some initializing. Here is the initialization of a constructor. So some statement, whatever it may be. So just close the copy constructor. Now I'm taking the void display also. Void display. Cout. Here I'm entering the values. That is A, the new tab, and the B. Okay, now close the class. So this is a copy constructor, just a class. Here I taking a copy constructor with two arguments, and display means to display these values. So whatever the values that I entered here, the X and Y, that values will be displayed here. Okay, so that values will be displayed here, A and then B. So let us see the main program. Void main. So this is the, now call this copy con object. So used when one object of class initialize the other object. So one class object, copy con object, I am taking as an object. So that value will be 30, 40, int x, int y. Okay, so this object, now copy constructor. Just see the difference how I am using the copy constructor. Now copy con object 2 is equal to object. So this object will be used in here. So used when one object of class initialize the other object. So one object of the class is initialize the other object. This is a copy constructor. Here for object int x 30, 40 will be initialized. That will be initialized to other object, that is a copy con object 2. So that's why I have written this copy con object 2 is equal to object. Now display object dot display. So first it takes this and enter into display section and print A is 30 and B is 40, 30, 40. Again object 2 dot display. Now it prints again the object 2 because the values are copied here. For this also it prints the A value 10 and A value 30 and B value 40. Okay, so this is about the copy constructor. So these are the three different types of constructors that are used in the constructors. Means constructor, you can go for the default constructor or parameterized constructor or this copy constructor. Thank you.